Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shea Station podcast, the Mets podcast brought to you by Jomboy Media. We are on episode 29. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jolly Olive, aka Jack, and joining me is 2014 Washington Nationals postseason legend, Jerry Blevins, who's currently enduring a snowstorm. But Jerry, we have a very special guest today, if you want to introduce him.
I would love to introduce him. Former teammate, maybe the most sarcastic human I've ever met in my whole life, the most deadpan person in a clubhouse to where it's a coin flip on people are like, is this guy for real? It's hilarious. I love every bit of it. The multi-talented, multifaceted human being that is Ty Kelly. Welcome to the show, Ty.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jerry. What an honor to be the most deadpan teammate. It's something that I've just, my whole life I've put all of my energy or lack of energy into showing no emotion so that nobody knows if I'm serious or not. And to have a superlative like that coming from a guy like you is just, it's an honor.
I mean, it is well deserved. Like it's upon first impression, you get the people walk away and they're like, did he like me? Does he hate me? Was it funny? Was he making fun of me? I have no idea. That's a lot of the Ty Kelly interactions that as a people person that I love to watch. I literally I would enjoy the daily interactions of watching Ty Kelly and his teammates. It's my favorite.
I think it takes about a month to figure it out. That's from my experience. It's about a month and some guys start to go, okay, I get it now. I see what's going on. Okay, now we're on the same page.
Yeah, for our newer listeners that might not know, Jerry and Ty were teammates on the 2016 Mets and a couple other Mets teams. The 2016 being the most notable because that's the last playoff team in Mets history. And Ty, I know you know this. It's kind of a big deal around these parts, but you have the last hit in Mets playoffs history. So, I mean, congratulations to you for that. And it came off a pretty good pitcher, if you remember.
I do. I certainly remember. And I've told everybody so many times that the last time this past season when they didn't make it, I was ready to send out another tweet, about how letting more people know. And my girlfriend was like, it's maybe you don't have to keep talking about it. I think you've
She's wrong.
said it enough times. I was like, I don't know, but okay, I guess I'll just lay off this year.
I honestly don't remember it. Can you give me a little run through on how it was? Put me in the moment.
Yeah. So the moment was 2016, October 5th, and it was a night game between Noah Syndergaard, the ace of the New York Mets, and Madison Bumgarner, arguably the best postseason pitcher of all time. But pregame, the hitting coach, one of the hitting coaches, Sixer, told me that most likely I'd be hitting either against George Contos or Will Smith because I'd had success against both of those guys. And then it came up the eighth inning, I think, and Dickie Scott said, Ty, you're leading off next inning. And then the leadoff spot came up and he said, you're going to hit second this inning. And so Soup went up to lead it off, struck out, and then I came up, took a strike, a fastball or something, took a curveball. Oh, I fake bunted also, which was very of the time. It doesn't really happen anymore. You got to throw a fake bunt in there just to keep everyone honest, and just hope that Bumgarner messes up and throws it in the dirt so I don't have to swing. And then he throws the curveball in the dirt and then like a changeup or something for some reason, 1-1. And I literally closed my eyes and stuck the bat out and it just went in the 6 hole. And that was the last hit.
That might have been the last hit Bumgarner gave up in the postseason. I feel like it's single digits. The guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that's like quite the accolade. You have a Madison Bumgarner postseason hit. Not many people can say that.
It's true. It is definitely, it's crazy. And also when you only have so many chances to do things and you do it the first time, then he'll never get me out in the postseason. So, and there's a pretty decent chance that I never make an out in the postseason. I am still attempting to play, but I mean, we can just be honest and say, chances are slim. Or we can come back to this podcast when I'm the World Series MVP and and then we'll have another story.
I was going to follow up there, because you played for the Long Island Ducks last season. Plenty of indie ball guys got their contracts picked up by MLB teams last season, so there's plenty of chances. But we're going to stay here in 2016 for a second. Jerry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk. So, like, being a bullpen pitcher, there's a lot of things that go into it preparation wise, and I think, as hard as being a bullpen pitcher is, I think the hardest job in baseball outside of like catching, the single hardest job is to hit a pinch hit, is to come in off the bench. You have like you said, you had an idea of who you were going to face. They told you the scenarios, and then it's not that, like always. And then they tell you you're going to bat leadoff, and then it's not that. So you got to be flexible. Can you walk me through kind of what it is and what it means to be the challenges of being a pinch hitter, and B, what your prep is that might be a little bit different on that kind of a role?
Yeah, well, the challenges are just that it's insanely tough to go from doing nothing to being full speed in the heat of what are a lot of close games. Many of my pinch hits throughout my career were in not close games because I was kind of the designated down 6 in the 5th inning, just go do something. It kind of doesn't matter. But everyone has their own routine. Some guys, like that season, Diaza was a guy that was hitting for an hour off a velo machine, and Nimmo was kind of the same way when he was on the bench that year. Guys that just wanted to do as much as they possibly could to be ready. And I sort of took the exact opposite approach, where I wanted to do almost nothing except for just like, I just want my body to be loose, because I'm going to go up there and all of this stuff that I'm doing in the cage, I've put so much work into being ready for just to be able to hit, that I just want to go up there and take it as just another at bat, play the situation of the game, obviously. But if you're putting in hours worth of velo machine pressure on yourself, and then going up there, and there would be times when, Nimmo obviously is like a super hard worker, and everyone can see, how hard he plays, but he would do an hour of machine, go hit, make an out, and then be still out of the game, and then come back in and hit more off of velo machine. And it's just, for me personally, that's just way too much pressure to put on yourself, that you're gonna hit for 2 hours like by yourself to possibly see like 3 pitches that day. It's just a lot. So I wanted to take like 10 swings off the tee and just run around a bunch and do jumping jacks and stuff, and just try and be as loose as possible. And then, if you get a good pitch and hit it, then that's kind of the best you can do. But my hitting coach in Philly the year I was there was Matt Stairs, who has the most pinch hit homers, but it's only like 22 or 25 or like something like that. It's just not that many for someone that pinch hit so much and is like the best pinch hitter ever.
It's a tough, like I said, it's a tough job, and there's no correct way to do it. This isn't, a set script. It's like I mentioned, it's like the bullpen. There's a million ways for your guy to get ready. I took a lot of your approach in the sense that I just wanted to be physically loose. And so I'm constantly playing catch with the outfielders until that moment. I played with a guy named Seth Smith, who was unbelievable for the A's coming off the bench. He was a great player in his own right as a starter, but he really excelled. He hit over 300 for us off the bench, which is absurd. And the fact that Matt Stairs has the most pinch hit home runs and it's under 30 is crazy in the history of the game. But that just goes to show you how difficult it is, because you're either coming in to face a setup or a closer that's just lights out, or a starter that's just locked in and you're facing him for the first time and he's like cruising. And so to me, it's the hardest gig. And it's one of those mental things where you have to be in the right mental state where you're like, my body's ready. I just want to have a good AB, or just get a good swing on a good pitch, and go from there. And so you erase a lot of the, I'm 1 for 3 today, so I can kind of relax at the plate. You don't have those. You're like a pass fail guy. And so I always appreciated people that were skillful off the bench to hit, because I had an idea of how difficult it is.
Yeah, and the other thing I think that as a pitcher, you're probably not pitching every day. I mean, maybe you're different because you're coming in for one or two guys, but as especially a young pitcher, a young reliever, or a young pinch hitter, you might not hit again for 2 or 3 days. So you've got your one at bat, or your one inning, or your one guy that you've got to come in and get out. And whether you do it or not, it can affect the next few days and could possibly affect whether you get sent down for if especially like if you're a reliever and you need to get through 3 innings or something, which I guess doesn't happen as much anymore. But if you let the team down in some way, you could pretty easily get sent down, bring up a guy, and then you got to wait your 10 plus days to try and get back up.
Yeah, and I mean, Ty, you had it especially tough because not only were you like one of the designated pinch hitter guys, but you played like 6 or 7 different positions when you were with these 2016 Mets just because of how injury depleted this roster was. I mean, we lost Harvey, DeGrom, Matz, David Wright was out, Lucas Duda was out, Neil Walker was out, Wilmer Flores, Michael Conforto. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And that's still something you do with the Long Island Ducks. You played 6 different positions this year. So I wanted to kind of like, gauge you a little bit on that. Like, is that tough coming off the bench or starting in a different position every day? Or is it something you feel like you thrive at?
It is tough, but also the more you get to do it, the easier it gets. I think the less you play one position, the less you're worried about like exactly how you've been doing or like what's going on at that position. Getting to play everywhere, I think it's super fun for me. It's a new challenge every day, and it's a new challenge. And also I think that in the way that Jerry and I were talking about just being physically loose and like just being athletic, it provides a little bit of like I don't know if it's like a fail safe, but you're just like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do today. So I feel ready enough at every position that now the manager's like, you're going to go here, you're going to go here. And it might be third base or left field. So it's like, okay, well, I have both of my gloves ready. I have my cup. I might put it in, might take it out. And then he's going to say, okay, split second, you're going to this place. And then you just run in and you just do it. So I think it takes away a lot of the anxiety of like, I know exactly, I'm going to have to go do this thing. It's just like, I'm just going to figure it out when I get in there. And there's really no pressure. Everybody knows how tough it is. I'm just going to go do the best that I can. And you've prepared enough at every position that hopefully it works out.
Yeah, and also, is there one position you feel like the most comfortable in, or has this happened so much that you kind of just feel like you are that like wandering fielder now?
Yeah, well, I think anytime the manager tells you you're going to second or to one of the outfield corners, I think you're kind of like, all right, well, this is going to be pretty relaxing because there's not too much to do. My preferred outfield spot is left, just because I played the most of it. But for some reason, everyone thinks right is the easiest. But I don't really. I mean, I think it's just whatever you've played most. And then second, you can pretty much just knock it down and then kick it over to first, and you've got so much time. But I always enjoyed playing third most. I think the plays are the most unique, and it's just everything split second reaction. And I think that I developed the best there as far as being prepared for those unique plays and kind of taking pride in playing a good third base.
That's always my favorite position, besides having a quality catcher. Was somebody that's athletically gifted at third base is my always and always will be my favorite. I had the luxury of playing Eric Chavez at third when I first got to Oakland. Then Josh Donaldson took over. David Wright was there. I had Ryan Zimmerman in Washington, but he was, his shoulder was already gone by that point. But I just, I got to see Matt Chapman in Oakland, just incredible. Longoria in San Francisco. I just love that skill. And I know the mental barriers that you have to overcome, because they call it the hot corner for a reason. A lot of times you have to come in on the grass, and this guy is going to hit you an absolute jet fueled, ground ball line drive, and it's all reaction. I love it so much. And I know that you're a warrior over there if you're willing to put your body on the line and excel. So I wanted to ask you a question. Jolly brought up Long Island. A couple of things about where you are in your career. What's it like for you going into a season, possibly going to independent ball? Let me just start here. So you're on the Long Island Ducks. You have big league experience. I'm sure you carry a significant amount of weight over there. Are you saying I want to play multiple positions and talking to the manager and the brass about how you want to stay ready? Because ultimately to get to the next level, your versatility is a key. Or are you filling a role and trying to win a championship or a little bit of both? Can you take me through that kind of thought process?
Yeah, I think it's definitely both. I think that anytime you go to any team, at least for myself, and I'm sure guys like you're the first thing that you want to do is just help the team win. And then I think from there, the more you do that, the more respect you get from your teammates. The more respect you get from your manager. Obviously, my manager was Wally Backman, who was the guy that was my manager when I got called up in 2016 for the first time. So Wally knew who I was. He had seen me play some of the best baseball of my career. And so he knew that I could play every position. Wally is not scared to throw guys into any position. I think if a shortstop was not playing well, he would put a pitcher at short and just say, we're going to battle for who's going to be the shortstop of the future. Like I legitimately think he would do that. There was a day in Las Vegas that he put Sean Gilmartin into the 3-hole a day that he was pitching. And of course he was not allowed to keep that lineup, but the lineup was posted and I'm pretty sure he would have let him hit.
Gilmartin could rake, by the way.
He could rake. I think the game before he had like 2 doubles. So everyone was like, yeah, it's weird, but I mean, like it might work. I don't know. It's the minors, so and Vegas, so who knows what could happen. But yeah, I think you want to come in and just prove yourself to your teammates and then kind of get in the flow of being on the team. And then from there, you can open up personal success. I think, the more the team wins, the better individuals are going to do anyway. And for me, I do want to play everywhere. And I think that at this point, that's kind of baked into who I am. It's just, I'm going to play every position. And, it might be where I play 2 weeks at third. And if the third baseman goes down or something like that, tons of seasons I started at second, the third baseman got hurt, I played third like the entire rest of the season. In Long Island this past year, I went in as a utility guy, started out playing mostly third, and then we needed help in the outfield, so I started playing left. I did well there. Wally started putting me in center, and for like a month or two I was just in center every single day. So it's, like it just, all of these things just kind of happen over the course of a season. Guys get hurt when you're an affiliated ball, guys are getting called up constantly. And if you can just fill in somewhere, maybe take over the starting job there, then you're getting tons of experience at a new position. And it just makes your value that much higher as a utility guy to be able to play premium positions and to do it on a daily basis.
Ty, there's one position we haven't talked about, and that's pitcher. In 2019, Salt Lake Bees pitched a couple games. How was it on the mound? Was it the similar feeling, or did you kind of feel like out of place?
No, I mean, it was pretty easy.
You hear that, Jerry? It was pretty easy, man.
I mean, I'm surprised he cracked a smile when he said it. We were talking about his sarcasm. I love it.
Well, so the thing is, I pitched in 2 games. I only had 1 strikeout, unfortunately. I think I had
better than
maybe
none.
a couple of walks. Yeah, it was. I think it was the last batter that I faced, Peter O'Brien. Unfortunately for him, but and Josh Tolley was catching me also.
Nice,
another Met. But which, I mean, I'm surprised he's not in talks for manager of the Mets yet, but I think someday. But Yeah, they unfortunately for the pitchers, when I went in after the game, they told me what my induced vertical vert. I don't know what the full name is, but they told me what my vert was and that my slider had big league average slider shape. And so
Nice.
for the entire rest of the season, every day I would walk into the video room where all of that stuff is being shown, every single pitch, and all the pitchers are in there recording their pitches and everything. And I would just go ask what the guy's vertical was or what the guy's slider shape looked like. And they hated it for the whole season.
I bet.
But they shouldn't have told me, because I had never even heard of the thing before that. And now, that's pretty much what I'm living on at this point.
Ty, I don't know if you know this, but Peter O'Brien is like hated by Mets fans everywhere because he caught the David Wright foul pop-up that was like the last at-bat of his career when everyone was like,
Wow.
drop it. So you did Mets fans a solid there by striking him out. That's big.
I mean, we're finding the connection somehow.
It's everywhere.
We looked for it and we found it.
Your Mets legend grows. It's unreal. It just continues to develop.
I went into that game that I'm sure we were down by 15 in Salt Lake, and I got revenge for David Wright.
So you threw in 2 games. Did you give up any runs?
No. I never.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 2 games. I mean, it was an inning each game. And then, so I had 3 total affiliated innings. In 2014 in Tacoma, I had an inning. It was 5 pitches, hit 90 on the gun. They told me it was only 89, but still, I saw 90 up there. I put a 90.
I was going to say, you see it, it's real.
Yeah.
I once threw 156 miles per hour in Anaheim. I still claim it as my top speed.
Was it what kind of pitch was it? Was it like to the backstop, or was it?
No, it was I think it was even a changeup, but on the scoreboard they popped up 156. I was like, that's my new high.
That's pretty sweet.
But so in the PCL, to throw 3 innings and give up no runs in a career, that's a record.
Yeah, I got a 0 ERA. I've led the world in ERA, no matter what league. There were multiple times in Philly when I was 1 batter away from pitching also. And this is when my arm was the best of my entire life. And I was so ready to pitch because I was not really playing in any of the games. So every day I would just throw every ball from, like pregame from third to first, every ball just as hard as I could. And then just go throw a bunch in the cage, like whenever I was getting ready to go in. So I was so ready to go in and pitch and see what my numbers were going to be. But then when you go face major league hitters, you always run the risk of them just turning one around and hitting you in the chest. So, and in some ways I'm glad I didn't have to find out what happened.
You and me both. Did you warm up on the mound? Like did you go to the outfield and warm up in Philly like that? Or you were just in the cage underneath?
Yeah, they just had me in the cage underneath, which was fine. But there was one time that I threw off the mound in Philly that got me the opportunity. Basically, we had just done our pregame grounders, and the pitchers were coming in to do PFPs, and so they were all huddled right behind the mound, waiting for the coaches to come out. And I was still out there, so I grabbed a ball and went onto the mound. And Ben Lively got behind the plate and got down and was like, let's see it, because I'm like, I can pitch. And so I got up there, I threw 2 fastballs. Again, this is my arms at the at its peak.
Feeling good.
Feeling amazing. Tons of backspin. I'd been going to a pitching coach, not to like throw pitches, but to throw.
Work on your arm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy that a lot of position players don't do that, but
I agree.
But I throw 2 fastballs and they're like, okay. Some Hellickson was there and was like, I wish I had that fastball. I mean, I appreciate the compliment. And then I throw a slider, and I called it a cutter, and Joaquin Benoit was behind me and was like, oh, that's a slider. And I was like, yeah. And so I threw another one, a really good one. And they're like, okay. And they're like, okay, let's see changeup. And I was like, I don't really have a grip. So I just gripped the, the changeup that I threw in Little League, just a nice circle change. And I'm just like, well, I'm just going to throw it. And I just let it eat, and it just goes whoosh, right onto the corner, just perfect. And then he throws it back to me. I just dropped the ball on the mound and walked
I was going to
off.
say, if you're going to learn a changeup grip, Benoit has a pretty good one. Had a hell of a career throwing those nasty changeups. So
yeah,
you didn't need it.
I didn't need it. I only needed to throw one to no hitter. So
I'm pretty sure. So you're just showcasing yourself. I'm pretty sure that my AB I got with Mickey Callaway being our manager was because I did something similar. They would never let me hit ever, like spring training, nothing. And they were like, oh, we don't want you to get hurt, whatever. And I'm like, look, I just want to stay loose, stay athletic, just in case, because it's going to happen. And they're like, no. So finally, I just jumped in front in a group, like I snuck in. I brought my own helmet out, and I'm hitting, and they go, what is Blevins doing in this group? And I'm just like hitting gap to gap, just like, it's BP, it's easy, but I wanted to stay athletic. And they're like, all right, he might be able to do it. So when that spot came up, they're like, let's let him hit. So I think you always be ready. You never know what's going to happen. It's a long ass season, and anything can happen.
who did you face?
I've had 4 at bats, but I got a hit off of Scott Kingery. The flame throwing.
Great pitcher.
Yes, I got a position player, which is more challenging because he threw it like 32 miles an hour, and it had like this arc that you don't practice.
No, I hate facing.
It's lose for you guys.
Huge lose. Yeah. So one of the only position player hits that I've ever gotten was a double off of Matt Reynolds in AAA because he was throwing too well. He was like 85 to like 87, but from a nice like infielder arm slot with nothing on it, just like a little natural run. Like he was too average, where it's much harder to face 30 or 100, but facing like 85 right in the groove. And that was perfect for me. I couldn't hit anything else, but I could hit his 85.
I gotta say, guys, I didn't expect this much pitcher talk, but I'm kind of loving it. It's pretty good.
No, you might have to edit out a bunch of it. Just so we know.
No way.
You know me by now, Jolly, that we're going to talk pitching.
Yeah, I just figured, you'd get it out of him. Ty, you didn't do any pitching this season for the Long Island Ducks, right?
No, not in Long Island, but I did pitch in the European Championship in Italy.
Nice.
I was there with Team Israel. It was post Olympic stuff. So I got to pitch in that. I came in the game to get to the championship. We were up like 6 or 7, and we were just trying to save as much pitching as we could. So I came in from short, first pitch double play, and then next inning gave up a couple of singles. I did end up giving up a run, which was unfortunate, but I also my arm was killing me just from throwing in the pen. I had thrown like 15 pitches in the pen, and I was just like, this is more than I've thrown in, like ever, basically.
Too much prep. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't listen to my own advice. I should have thrown one pitch in the pen and been like, nothing is going to change. I'm just literally just throwing, I'm just trying to throw it to the catcher.
Yeah, Ty, you mentioned Team Israel. I kind of wanted to throw it back to 2017 World Baseball Classic because I'm a big WBC guy. It's coming back in 2023. I think Israel was ranked like number 40 or somewhere around there, pretty low ranked. And you guys took out a top 3 team in South Korea during that tournament, 2-1, 10 innings. Do you remember that game at all? I'm sure you do because it was quite the battle.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. That was the first game also of the entire tournament.
Yeah.
So we had sort of had the kind of like the low team on the totem pole treatment to that point, as far as like practice times and stuff like that. So we had been there like a week and a half, getting prepped for just, for the time change and things like that. And all of the like 8 a.m. bus times to go practice. And then, of course, first game comes around and it's a night game in Korea against the home team. And it was just Jason Marquis on the mound making his comeback, a bunch of guys, Ike Davis playing,
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of this sort of the thing was a bunch of has-beens and wannabes, and and it was just a real grinder of a game. There was just like both teams played well, but also missed tons of chances. I think both teams leaving like 10 plus guys on base, just very back and forth of who can possibly, score a run. And we ended up pulling it out like 2-1 or whatever. Team Israel's already qualifies because we won the first round. So so Team Israel is already in. We'll see if I'm still playing or what's going on in my career. Obviously, I would love to still be playing because the tournament is incredible, and those atmospheres are so cool to play in. Hopefully they'll be back and like that if they aren't already in Korea and Japan. But getting to play in those countries and in those stadiums is so cool. And to hear all the fans, playing and singing like the walk-up songs for all the guys, and just the whole vibe of how much they truly love baseball and understand baseball, and going to games is an event to sort of appreciate baseball. I feel like in a way that, in a lot of places in the States, it feels like, it's a way to go appreciate nice weather and beers and hot dogs and stuff, which, in their own right are great things. And you get to watch baseball at the same time. But I think it just feels like in those places, they're just like, we love baseball and we love our team so much. Like we just want to go see good baseball and appreciate it, and like tip our cap to the players when they, make a nice play, and they'll tip their caps back to us. And it's like it has a different feel, I guess, from baseball in the States. Not that one is better than the other, but it's just different.
That's what I like to say. Like, I got a chance to play with Team USA, and we played in Taiwan, and then we went to Japan a few times with MLB. It's just really cool to see what I love and what we love in baseball and America loves. It's our national pastime. To see another country, another culture embrace the game that we love and the way that they appreciate it it's not which one is better. It's just they appreciate it the same way. Like in the Dominican, the way they go about it, in Japan, Korea. I just appreciate another culture loving the same thing that we love, and seeing how they go about their love of the game. It's super cool. It's very blessing to don a uniform and see it in a different way.
Yeah, and I also think it's very interesting that like each country has sort of its own brand of baseball on the field, and the sort of give and take from everyone. Like you can go to Winter League games in the Dominican and see everyone trying to hit home runs and dancing and like celebrating around the bases and stuff like that. And then so in the States, we're like, oh, that's pretty fun. Like, why don't we do some more of that? Or like in other countries, I don't know, maybe in the past, like Japan and Korea have been more of like, we're just going to try and make a ton of contact. And like, we're okay, like what's the give and take there that we want or don't want or whatever. And it's just like sort of a balance. And now how is all of the analytics stuff affecting teams over there? Like when we played against the Korean team in the Olympics, in my head, I was like, well, they're going to sort of like, slap the ball and run out of the box. And then like you watch them and it's like, they still have those sort of similar swings with the, like, it looks like they're sort of running towards first, but like they're definitely trying to hit home runs now. Like it's very different. So the give and take everywhere, and what's everyone wanting to change to put into their brand of baseball to try and presumably everyone's trying to find like what is the best way to play baseball. So I think it's really cool to see what everyone takes and what everyone leaves.
All right, Ty, I gotta ask, because it's definitely on fans' minds, especially people who are listening. Can we get a status update on your food truck, Sweet Potato Ties? What's the deal? How we looking?
Well, currently in the with the baseball climate right now in a lockout, it's really hard to to know what's going to happen. And I would love to say that it's going to be at Citi Field this year, and coming to fields around the country and around Canada, of course, and wherever else we put teams. But is just at this point, I don't know if I can talk smack about Rob Manfred, but he just doesn't want it at this point. And I feel like I should just put it all on him.
You should. You definitely should.
Has he heard of it? No, he hasn't heard of it, but it's definitely his fault. He's attacking everyone. This doesn't end at the players. It doesn't end it doesn't end at the fans. Ultimately it ends at me and my dream of owning a food truck. And giving back to the fans, of course. But
of course.
But I think that it's kind of weird because now that my career is still sort of going, it's been a little bit on the back burner. But I do think that at some point I would actually like to try and put some effort into it, to put some funds behind it, possibly from investors. Like I see Jerry nodding his head. Kind of feel like I'm on Shark Tank right now.
Kind of makes sense to me, honestly. Makes perfect sense.
Well, and Jerry doesn't have to commit right now, but there would be nobody better to come out and run the truck for a little while for a game or whatever, sign some autographs and talk to the fans.
It better be a tall truck. I'm not ducking.
I kind of feel like I just made a business deal happen, man. I feel like this is just perfect. This just works out.
Well, yeah, Jerry and I will offline about it after, and I think we're gonna make something happen.
A little bit of magic.
So now I just would like to put it all on Rob Manfred and Jerry Blair.
I mean, this is a pro player pod, so
don't lump me in with that. Don't lump me in with the negativity, especially in the current climate with the mediation, attempts and the vitriol that's coming out of there. I did want to ask you on a serious note. I want to make this sure. You officially retired, correct? Okay, so having gone through that process myself, for you to get to that point and then also decide to come back out of retirement, can you walk me through kind of your mental processes on what led to the initial retirement and then what led to you to continue on with your playing career?
Yeah, my initial thought process was that I hate baseball and don't want to play anymore. And I wasn't getting any better. I didn't have the energy or enthusiasm to continue playing because I wasn't progressing anymore. I was just, if I was just going to be a minor league backup, it's not really for me. I've played plenty of minor league baseball in my career. I achieved so many things that, someday I'll look back on and be able to appreciate. And so it was just it was a very lateral move. It felt like, to just try and keep playing. I wanted to do other things in my life. I just wanted to stop having to, I guess, identify as a baseball player, and that's it, when I'm just filling in every third or fourth day in the minors. So and also baseball is changing so much that, like, it's just getting super hard to be a baseball player because everybody is so good and so young. And so it was a pretty easy decision to stop playing. And then, so with about a week to go in the 2019 season, I did my retirement paperwork. I literally on the thing put the reason for retirement was because I'm old and washed up and baseball is too hard now. It was literally what I wrote down. I didn't think I was ever going to come back. And I did, I didn't think anyone was ever going to see it. So I did that. And then I went straight to the Olympic qualifiers thinking this will be a lot fun, last little thing. I'll go play in this tournament, see what happens. But, there's no way we're ever going to beat the Netherlands and Italy and, Spain and whoever else. So obviously we end up winning it. and qualifying for the Olympics. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm still playing, but it's just, the 2020 Olympics. It's just this next year that I'll just have to get ready for. Maybe I'll go play independent ball for like a month or something to get ready for the Olympics, but I'm still done. And so then obviously 2020 happens, no baseball. So I got to not think about baseball for an entire like 6 months of where I'm just like working out in my apartment, just like everyone else. And the great thing about it though is that I was not doing I wasn't thinking about my swing for a good half year plus. You're never entering the shower thinking like, man, what's my load like, and just like working on it for 20 minutes by yourself in the shower. Just like it feels like it's just like the time to just go crazy by yourself. And so like not doing that, not having to think about any of that stuff was so freeing, and was just like really what I needed to just kind of like put everything that had happened behind me and be able to move forward, and not, every day when you're like overthinking and when you're trying to find something so hard and just like trying, you're just like gritting your teeth and trying to figure something out. Like you're just in your own way at that point. So getting all of that stuff out of my head was huge. And then being able to put a bunch of time into going into the Olympics. I randomly got back into affiliated ball before that, saw, what baseball is like with all of the technology and all of the information that's available, and all of the ways that you can get better, all of the ways that everyone knows now what a proper swing is supposed to look like, and what every term means, and why I was, lacking certain things before that nobody could ever put a name on before. It was all, you need to hit down and throw your top hand. Those are the only two pieces of hitting advice that anyone ever knew for the first 100 and however many years of baseball. Nobody had ever figured it out beyond that. So now it's like, oh, you're supposed to do like this, and you're supposed to turn here, and there's an axis, and it's like, and you're supposed to hit your back hip's supposed to do this. And it's like that I can make those adjustments in a week, and I can be a good baseball player, where I was just struggling to figure out, just trying to figure stuff out on my own. And so being able to put all of that stuff together and go into, to future years is essentially like a fresh start. And yeah, but basically all of those things put together has definitely just revitalized me, and has given me that energy that I was lacking for baseball, where I just was like, I don't care about baseball anymore, and I don't care about any of this stuff. It's like now I feel like I get it now, and I can take that and and every day try and just keep implementing all those new things. Like essentially like I'm a new player, but just have game experience.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for diving into that. You touched on a couple of things that I really appreciated, but I want to kind of dive into what you talked about as hitting, especially over the last 5 years. It's so much easier to be a good pitcher now with all the high speed cameras, with all of the motion capture. It's so much easier to get better with every pitch. Like in between pitches in a bullpen, you can be like, all right, so I was there, now I need to be here, or I got around it. You can literally get feedback like that. Whereas hitting has always been this philosophical, step in the bucket, squash the bug, throw your top hand, like as you talked about. Are we catching up now on the hitting side to getting yourself better in a more real-time fashion? Do you think hitting is starting to make leaps technologically forward from an analytical side to where it could start to compete with this good hitting or good pitching? I mean, yeah,
I do. I think the best like comparison to like the high speed cameras, and it and then it'll just pop up on like a little and a little image of like your spins doing this. Honestly, we had it in the dugout last year for pitchers. Like, so there's also no more what's his fastball doing, and a guy comes back and it's like, it's dead straight, and then you go up there and you get jammed because it's cutting 6 inches, and it's just like, well, what are you talking about? It's dead straight. And then it's like, of course, the guy that is just like, I don't know, I just see the ball and swing at it, and it's like, that does nothing for me. You're of no help to anybody.
I love it. I mean, like, I don't know. What do you throw you that 2-1 pitch? You're like, I don't remember.
Honestly, I
It
don't
just
really
happened.
know.
You're like, oh, I just see it and see ball, hit ball.
Yeah, that's the worst. Someone hits a home run and you're like, oh, it's a changeup. I was like, no, I thought it was a fastball. You don't even know what you hit. You just hit a home run.
That's good.
But so now we've got the TrackMan or Rapsodo or whichever thing it is, like in the dugout. And so you can see it's like, this is the axis. This is, it's running this much, or it's got this much vert on it or whatever. And there's no more, like, be careful, this guy throws high fastballs or whatever. It's like you can see literally what the pitches are doing, and then go in there and know, and not have to rely on someone else's eyes who hits a completely different way from you. So that's super helpful. But I think that as far as the feedback of what your swing is doing, I think that there are like those skeleton images that you can see, like when people swing. So I don't know how like if those are in use a lot for hitters as much as pitchers are using the high-speed cameras and stuff like that. But I do think that when that is like when people are able to use those in the dugout, like in game and stuff like that, you can see exactly where you're going wrong. And I mean, and then at that point you're almost to the point of robots playing. But
yeah,
like for training wise, I almost all of my swings I have on video now, and the fact that I know how to like break down exactly what's going on in the swing is huge. So everything is getting so finely tuned because everybody knows what to look for now. And we have the cameras to be able to break this stuff down. Pitchers, I do think, are a little bit ahead as far as the technology of that thing being able to break it down for you. But still, even when I was in Salt Lake a couple of years ago, they put a little like a strap around us and said, just take a couple of swings and it'll tell you exactly how like your hips are working with your upper body, which is like, obviously like the elasticity and the, and it's all the same thing, pitching and hitting, but, having that kind of feedback tells you exactly what you're doing. And the weird thing for me as a switch hitter is that my hips are my hips just as a human being. But as a switch hitter from each side, they're essentially opposites. So from the left side, my hips stay closed really well. And from the right side, my hips want to open up, which if you think about it, like makes sense because they're sort of lined up in a certain way. So like the fact that I can understand that now and know that, can give me a sort of can tell me what I need to do moving forward as far as my swing, so that I know that from one side, okay, we're good, we can get elastic, but now how am I going to force that to happen from the other side? And so again, just all of these things, like this information is out there for everyone, and kids are learning it at such a young age now that it's just in the game that people, there was a time in 2019 when Jared Walsh in the dugout in Albuquerque, I think, was talking smack to a hitter on the other team. And his like big burn was that he has terrible thoracic rotation. And I just think it's such a, like, this is what life is now and what baseball is now, that they're not like, oh, your girlfriend's ugly or something like that. It's like, no, you got terrible thoracic rotation, bro.
Just like you brought up the vert, like your vertical rise. Yeah, it's a different world, my friend. It's different.
It's a different world, and everybody understands it and gets it, and everybody has the same info available to them. And just go scroll down Instagram reels and see how to hit from 100 different people, from former players, from people that just understand kinesiology and how bodies work and stuff like that. So that's why baseball is so exciting to me right now. Everybody is just like, all boats are rising, to the sky, basically. I feel like
So much talent in today's game. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's high. I mean, we're talking about all the new technology and stuff like that, and we got news that robot umpires are coming to the minor leagues. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you like that being integrated into the game?
Well, I'm certainly not a traditionalist because, I hate umpires just about as much as anyone. And that's, they're all nice people. And I wish that I didn't feel like that, but the thing that I made my money on, and really the reason that I got called up ever, is because I had a good eye at the plate.
Right.
And that was like the one skill that that took me over the top. So it's a very delicate thing, my relationship with umpires, because I want to be nice to them. I want to say, hey, how's it going, Mike? Every time I see these guys, but then I know that at some point they're going to screw me, and I'm going to take it personally, because this is my job and my life, and the thing that I'm best at. And if I tell you that a pitch was 1.5 inches outside and it deserves to be a ball, I guarantee you can go back on TrackMan or whatever thing, and it's going to be 1.5 inches off the plate. Having said that, in the Atlantic League last year, we had the TrackMan zone, and I mean, it was rough. It was not good. They were giving 1 inch and like 3/4, I think, on each side of the plate at any given time. Also, the top of the zone is your standing height. It's based on your standing height, your listed height. So as soon as you go from 5'11" to 6 feet, not saying that, that's who I am. I'm 6 feet tall, and I'll stand by that. But as soon as you do that, your strike zone now has raised above your waist even further. And it's also in the middle of the plate. So you're getting tons of high curveballs that back up and pop out of a pitcher's hand that you give up on. They break into the tiniest top corner of the zone, and it's a strike. And the umpire waits for like 3 seconds and is like, oh, come on, don't tell me this is a strike. And then the thing buzzes in his ear and he goes, strike 3. And it's really rough for everyone. There's no feel, because it's a robot, and it says if it clips a little tiny piece of the zone, then it's a strike. But I think it's a different system from the TrackMan. I think they're going to use Hawkeye, which apparently is supposed to be really good. I would assume that it'll be back to like a 360 zone and not a flat 2D zone. But we'll see what happens. I just know that there were a lot of things about the TrackMan that were very bad and just inconsistent at different fields, because again, it's just like you're leaving it up to everyone to calibrate it in a certain way. And if one day you show up and the zone is, you're not hitting anything at the knees, and then the next day it's like hitting at the ankles, you're just like, I don't even know where to stand in the box anymore.
Right.
Like what's it going to be today? So I guess my conclusion is that if you can make it consistent and changing to every hitter in a way that makes sense for their stance, along with like from where they're starting, the way that it's supposed to be, then it'll be good. But I think at this point, I'm just very hesitant about, the consistency from hitter to hitter.
I think that's the key. Pitchers and hitters, all we want is consistency, because you can adjust to something that's a constant. And if you're just, sometimes you're getting it, sometimes you're not, you're just like, well, I don't even know how to work around that.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to exclude the pitchers, because it's the same thing for them. There are guys that throw submarine that found out that they have to throw pitches above the waist to to come down and into the zone. They can't throw anything at the knees, which is what the submariner is living on for the whole rest of his career. So it's very difficult for everyone to have to readjust to the zone, especially if it's day to day.
Plate discipline approach, has that changed at all over the years? Because like from what I saw in your Baseball Reference and going through the motions and stuff like that, it's always been a very high OBP for you. So is there like one key tip you could give to aspiring hitters out there about an approach to an at bat?
Yeah, I guess the idea is that getting on base is good, and I think that like whether you're a good hitter or a bad hitter, accepting that people are going to walk you sometimes is fine, no matter how good you feel at the plate. A lot of times when I was growing up, I would be like, oh, I want to hit so bad, and I would walk, and I'd be like, oh, I'm mad now that I got walked. And it's like, you need to take your walks with your hits. Baseball is super hard. Just realize that you need to stay within the type of hitter you are, and like your approach needs to be one that puts a priority on getting on base and just doing something that helps the team. So if there's if it's a 2-0 count and you don't get the exact pitch that you're looking for, or 3-1 or whatever it is, like you don't have to swing at it. You don't have to be in swing mode all the time. It's okay to take pitches. It's okay to hit with 2 strikes. But at the same time, it's also okay to go up and swing at the first pitch if you're pretty sure that you're going to get a fastball. So you can't just always go up with one, cookie cutter approach, because if you never swing at the first pitch, then you're going to get fastballs right down the middle. You're never going to swing at them. The one thing I guess that was really interesting to hear this past year when I was with the Mariners is they said that no matter who you are, you're on average, you're going to get 16 pitches a game. You're going to get 4 that are in the like damage zone, no matter who you are, whether you're me or you're Mike Trout, doesn't matter. So the idea is that you have those 4 pitches to do damage, and on all of the other pitches that are right on the corner, you're not supposed to do anything with those. So you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to get a hit every time. If you get no pitches that are over the plate, then you're not supposed to do anything with those. So I think it takes a lot of pressure off of trying to do too much and being upset when you might just get no good pitches that day. So so I think having all of that in mind and sort of putting that together depending on what type of player you are.
Gotcha. Hey, thanks, man. Hey, Jerry, you got anything else? I just realized we're pushing an hour here. If you got final remarks.
I just want to add, we're going to keep it Mets. Who was the best position player you saw as a Met on the team, and who was the best pitcher that you saw?
I think that as far as pitchers go, I feel like I should say Addison Reed.
Good pick.
Just because of how solid he was. And I wasn't there in 2015, so I don't know. I mean, I probably would say Familia if I was, but
Reed had a great run in 15 too.
Yeah. And it was so much fun to, mostly be on the bench while he was coming in the 8th inning and everyone putting their hat up. And it was just like, oh, it's just another 8th inning. And he got out of it and went through their best hitters to set up the closer. And it was a lot of fun getting to watch him just you wouldn't consider his stuff the best of anyone, but he always found a way to get out of everything. He was just lanky enough and tall enough and had just enough angle and a little bit of cut maybe and like ride at the same time to get hitters off balance and just get through it. So I feel like he deserves a mention for sure. I don't know if anyone else would mention him, but
I'm a huge Addison Reed fan, and Shea Station, we are together as well.
Big Addison Reed pod.
And then position player wise, unfortunately, I didn't get to really play with David Wright that much. He was, it was basically like his last year of trying to battle through all the back and neck and all that kind of stuff. But he did hit a home run in the first day that I got called up because I didn't play the first day. So the very first day he did hit a homer, which is pretty cool also. And then I did miss the post game meeting right after because I didn't know that it was a thing.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was talking to my dad, and then he was like, and I think Bones was like, "Hey, the captain is looking for you. He's upset." And I was like, "I don't know what's going on." And obviously, David didn't care. He gave me some guff.
It made you sweat it out a little bit.
Yeah. But then it helped out because the next day I went out there and went over 4 with 3 strikeouts. So it was great for my debut.
It worked.
But so I guess I'll give another random shout out. I would like to shout out for position players, TJ Rivera.
Yes.
One of my best friends from those years, and still keep in touch with them and his family. But just a guy that absolutely raked at every level, and including the big leagues. Hit like 320 or whatever, hit that first 100 at bats or however many it was that he got that year. And then of course just has had arm injuries, and I know he's still playing too, but so I would love to see TJ get some more chances and hopefully be healthy and do what he's always done, which is just hit 330 everywhere.
That I love that answer too. You gave 2 really good ones.
Yeah,
somebody
seriously.
that is a baseball player that appreciates things that aren't always the shining star. I love TJ Rivera as a ball player, man. He was always underappreciated, always overlooked. He doesn't stand out as like an 80 power kind of guy. He just rakes and he plays a solid defense. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm a huge TJ Rivera fan. He's a great person. And an awesome teammate. So I hope he does well coming back. I hope he gets back to full strength.
Same.
Yeah, we have a lot of Mets buffs that like listen to this podcast. They're gonna absolutely love those answers because those are like unsung heroes. This is like a forgotten playoff team. Those 2 were like key pieces down the stretch. So great answers.
I wanted to kind of go in just a touch on Addison Reed. That guy, when he was playing as a pitcher, I think if I were a position player, that is the guy I would love to be on the mound when I'm out there. Works fast as hell, slide steps, throws a ton of strikes. So you're in everything, and then you're out, and he's walking off, and he lifts the lid, and you're like, that was fun. Let's go back out at it. So I love Reed. I love Rivera. Thank you for adding those 2 guys in, and for giving those guys a shout out.
Absolutely, those are my guys. And yeah, definitely a real like brand for Addison Reed. They're just like, the inning is going to go a certain way. Everything's going to be very Addison Reedy when he's out there, including the finishing hat at the top of the head. Like, it's just like, it's a whole separate entity from just pitchers in general.
One of my favorite humans in the clubhouse ever too. Just an awesome human being. Awesome teammate and a hell of a pitcher, man. So cool.
Do you guys have any last remarks before we wrap up here?
We've held on to Ty for long enough. You did great, man. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Great to talk to both of you guys. Jerry, always good to see you. You got the Bengals hat on. Hopefully, I feel like everyone's going to root for them. So go Bengals, go Burrow.
I hope so. Are you going to the game out in LA? Are you in LA still?
I'm in LA still. I'm a 49ers fan. So yeah. I really wanted to go last week. Obviously it would have been heartbreaking to be standing up in the top row of this stadium. It's just heartbroken, but I was close to going. If I had been in the big leagues for the last couple of years, I may have popped for one of those tickets, but on a minor league salary or on no salary right now, it was a little tough. But
it's a very responsible move for you. I was looking to go. The cheapest ticket for the Super Bowl is like $7,500. I'm like, I'll watch it on TV. It's better on TV anyway.
Yeah, it'll be better, and I'm sure that's the absolute worst seat in the stadium. But I mean, it does look like a pretty crazy stadium. But regardless.
Yep.
That's still a good chunk of change.
Well, man, you send me some of the info on sweet potato ties.
Yeah.
I'll send you the pitch
take a
deck.
look. I was gonna say, let me see the deck and I'll send it to my advisors.
I love it. We're gonna get this thing rolling, and no one will stop us, not even Rob Manfred.
I love it. All right, buddy. Thanks again for coming on. If you ever want to come back on, hit us up, shoot me a text, whatever.
Absolutely.
You got something to promote, you don't, you just want to talk bullshit, let us know.
Love it. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ty. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, later, buddy.